but that several contestants said they had waited hours or even days to receive their clean underwear. One woman said that when she and a group of other contestants who were menstruating during the event had asked this production staff about getting their underwear more quickly, she was told that it was, quote, not a medical emergency, and she recalled that a nearby member of the production staff had laughed at the woman's pleading. There were also reports of various injuries among contestants.
Wait, pause. Let me say something. Release the damn undies.
Really? Well, Casey, all aboard!
The train's pulling into the station, Kevin.
Yes. So today we are playing a brand new game called the Hot Mess Express. And we even have a theme song for it. So Casey, this segment came to us during a brainstorm recently because
a train storm even.
A train storm, because as we were looking at the tech news of the week, there were just so many stories that struck us as just being very messy.
Very messy week.
And so we decided to call it the Hot Mess Express.
Yeah, and so how this is going to work is we have a number of stories that are going to be coming down the tracks, and when they arrive at the station, we're going to sort of tell you a little bit about them, and they weigh in on what kind of mess this is. And we have a scale, and we'll be using it to assess sort of what was the week's biggest mess. And that's Hot Mess Express.
And if you're watching us on YouTube and you see the toy train set in front of us and you're wondering where did that come from, well, I'll tell you. I stole it from my child. I'm not proud of that. And if you're wondering, did he melt down as I was leaving the house this morning with the train set? The answer to that is yes.
Well, I'm sure I'll have a lot to say about that in therapy in a few years. But in the meantime, we thank him for his sacrifice.
Yes. The train conductor hat looks great on you.
It looks great on you. Yeah. Again, if you're not watching the show on YouTube, you're really only getting half the experience at this point. All right. Well, shall we see what's coming down the tracks first here,
Let's see what's coming down the tracks. All right, Case. It's so good. I love this. Oh, man. Okay. So I'll reach into the box car here.
Oh, yeah. There is a box car that has slips of paper that contains the week's stories.
First up on the Hot Mess Express. This one's called Open Desks at OpenAI. And, of course, every time we mention OpenAI, I am required to make our standard disclosure that the New York Times has sued OpenAI for copyright infringement. But continuing on. So this came out of OpenAI this week. There was some news that at least 3 high-level executives were either leaving the company or taking a leave of absence. John Szuchman is one of them. He is an OpenAI co-founder who had been pretty central to ChatGPT. He is leaving to go to Anthropic, the rival company, where he's going to work on AI alignment. And he said in a statement that he was not leaving OpenAI due to lack of support for alignment research, alignment being the sort of area of AI research that is concerned with how to make these models behave. But he's still leaving to go over to Anthropic. The information also reported that another OpenAI co-founder, Greg Brockman, is taking an extended leave of absence through the end of the year, but plans to return. They also reported that Peter Deng, who was one of their product leads over there, has left. And obviously this came on the heels of a bunch of other people who've left OpenAI in the last few months, including Ilya Sutskever, one of the co-founders. So putting aside Greg Brockman, who is just sort of on leave for now, only 2 of the 11 founding members of OpenAI are actually still working there day to day. Casey, what is going on at OpenAI?
You know, I wish I knew. And in fact, a former OpenAI employee messaged me this week and said, what's going on at OpenAI? So it's not just the reporters who are asking that question. You know, at this point, Kevin, more co-founders have quit OpenAI than most companies have co-founders.
It's true.
And you know, and not only that, but this departure of Greg Brockman, I think, is super interesting. You know, Brockman is a really integral part of this company, you know, working, hand in hand with Sam Altman, the CEO, and Mira Murati, the CTO. And, you know, I generally find him to be a pretty voluble person. He's got a lot to say. And so when he just showed up on X and said, by the way, I'm going on leave of absence. I'll be away for a while, but AI is still super important and we got to complete the mission, which is what he did. I thought, this is weird. Like, why take this leave of absence now? And I have some irresponsible speculation, but I wonder if you have any to share first.
No, I want to hear your irresponsible speculation.
Okay, I'm just going to tell you what this sounds like to me,
Yes.
okay? Because I think, look, if they wanted to get rid of him, they would have, and if he wanted to quit, he would have quit. What this sounds like to me is he wanted to quit, and somebody said, don't quit, take a break, and then we will revisit this later, and he sort of walked out the door, and that sort of explains why this felt sort of abrupt and why he did not have a lot to share. You know, he didn't share any warm and fuzzy feelings about OpenAI when he said he was taking a leave of absence. So that's just kind of what it felt like to me, but I'm curious what it felt like to you.
Yeah, I think there's a story here that will come out in the coming weeks. I've been asking around people at OpenAI. No one, the sort of. Greg was the surprising departure here. John Schulman, people sort of suspected that he might have been kind of, disaffected or just sort of had some questions about leadership since their big board drama last year. And so people were not shocked. People were obviously sad to see him go. He was well liked there, but they were not shocked. But Greg, I think it's safe to say that many people did not see coming. I think it's possible that he is just taking a leave to kind of recharge himself because he thinks that, 2025 is going to be a really big year and he's going to be really busy. He said in his statement that this was his first time to relax since co-founding OpenAI 9 years ago. So maybe there is an innocent explanation, but it does seem like they are losing a lot of key personnel recently. And I don't really know what to make of that, except that it seems to be a drama factory over there.
Well, I keep a file on my computer called OpenAI is a Weird Company, and I added this story to the list because I thought once again I'm over here scratching
Wait, what
my
else
head.
is on your OpenAI as a Weird Company
God! Well,
list?
let me pull it up for you right now. Let's see. Here are some things that I have. OpenAI illegally stopped staff from sharing dangers. Whistleblowers say OpenAI employees say it failed its first test to make its AI safe. Microsoft and Apple drop OpenAI board seats amid antitrust scrutiny. Employee says he was fired for raising security concerns to the board. The opaque investment empire making OpenAI's Sam Altman rich. It's just, again, a lot of this stuff, it's like fairly innocent. But it's like, oh, this happens, that happens. But you put it all in a file, Kevin, and you say, it's a weird company.
It belongs on the Hot Mess Express.
Yeah.
This company, for many of its victories over the past few years, it is a hot mess.
Yeah.
How would you rate its mess? Is
Okay.
it on our scale?
Okay. So, look, I don't think this is quite as messy as some of the OpenAI stories we saw last year. So, Kevin, I'm going to give this a rating of a warm mess. I think it's a warm mess.
Okay, yeah, I agree with that. I think it's a warm mess that has the potential to become a hotter mess depending on what we learn about these executive departures.
That seems very fair. Now, Kevin, do we have another mess coming down the tracks? Oh, there it is. Let me just run down to the station.
I love this. We are easing into our destiny as children's entertainers. Chugga chugga choo choo.
Yeah,
Who's here?
We're the Wiggles for tech stories. Okay, now this was a very fun one, Kevin, and this was X introduces its innovative new forced advertising plan. Do you hear about this one?
I did.
So X filed a lawsuit this week in a U.S. district court in North Texas against GARM. That, of course, is the Global Alliance for Responsible Media. It is an advertising industry group that tries to make sure that ads are brand safe, right? That, your ad isn't going to run next to hate speech or violence or gore, that sort of thing. And X filed a lawsuit against GARM as well as individual companies like Unilever, Mars, and CVS. And you're probably wondering, well, what did GARM do that would lead X to sue
assume
it?
they caused irreparable harm? Is that a thing?
There have been allegations of irreparable harm. That's what's being alleged. So GARM had encouraged advertisers to avoid X after Musk bought it. And this happened in November of 2022, which was like the month after Elon bought the former Twitter. During this boycott, 18 members of GARM stopped advertising on the platform altogether, according to the lawsuit. And dozens of others reduced their spending by 70% or more, according to the filing. We took that from the great story about this issue by Kate Conger in the New York Times. Now, what's weird, Kevin, is just last month, X reinstated their own membership in GARM and said X is committed to the safety of our global town square and proud to be part of the GARM community. In fact, the CEO of X, Linda Yaccarino, posted a video statement about this situation on X this week, Kevin, and, well, she had some troubling things to say.
Yeah, we should watch it.
Yeah, let's watch this video.
Hey, everybody. I was shocked by the evidence uncovered by the House Judiciary Committee that a group of companies organized a systematic illegal boycott against X. It is just wrong, and that is why we are taking action. Today, we filed an antitrust lawsuit against the Global Alliance for Responsible Media, 4 of its key members, and the World Federation of Advertisers. These organizations targeted our company and you, our users. The evidence and facts are on our side. They conspired to boycott...
Okay, let's cut it off there.
That's enough of that. The first thing you need to know about this video is that Linda Yaccarino is wearing 2 necklaces. One says mama and the other says free speech.
I saw... What do we make of this, the free speech bling here?
Well, I found it ironic because when someone chooses not to advertise on a platform in protest of the awful things that appear there, to me, that would be a pretty pure expression of free speech.
Yes.
And so for X to turn around and say, no, if you're organizing with others and saying, don't advertise on this website because of its policies, that seems like a pretty anti-free speech thing to do, Kevin.
Sure does.
What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, that was the sort of widespread mockery of this lawsuit comes down to the fact that these advertisers, they are choosing not to spend their money on X because they don't like what goes on X. They don't want their ads for, beauty products appearing next to hate speech and divisive political content. And that is their right. It's a free country. Advertisers can and do make choices all the time about where to spend their money. And in this case, they are choosing not to spend money on X. And instead of saying, well, maybe we should make our product more compelling to those advertisers by removing some of the hate speech, instead they are taking those advertisers to court to, I guess, sue them into changing their mind. Is that a strategy you think is likely to work, Casey?
I talked to a First Amendment lawyer who said, no, basically this is exactly what the First Amendment is designed to protect. This is obviously just an expression of speech. And of course, Kevin, the whole thing is very funny given Elon's appearance at the Deal Book Summit last year when he was asked about the advertiser boycott. And some of the things he said in response were, 1, don't advertise, and 2, go fuck yourself. And
they did.
And yeah.
They stopped advertising. And all of a sudden, this is shocking news.
Yeah. And by the way, Elon's summary of those events that I just described on X this week, quote, "We tried being nice for 2 years and got nothing but empty words. Now it's war." So that was what being nice looked like, and I guess the lawsuit is not. But look, this obviously, I do think this whole thing is a joke, but I do think there's also a more serious dimension to it, which is Elon found allies in the House of Representatives, in particular Representative Jim Jordan, who held a hearing about GARM and has sent letters to lots of big advertisers asking not just, hey, why aren't you advertising on X, but why aren't you advertising on Breitbart and the Daily Wire, these sort of conservative aligned media. And at this point, X is absolutely conservative media. So I just think that is something that people should be aware of, because the folks like Linda Yaccarino who want to brandish the banner of free speech, I just find it truly upsetting given that she is working to threaten advertisers who are just truly exercising their free speech.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's also a sign that X's business model is just in real trouble, right? They're not.
Wait, are you saying that healthy businesses don't normally sue the people who have chosen not to be their customers?
I'm saying it's not what I would do if I ran a business and wanted to make it profitable, but clearly they have sort of realized that their future in advertising is not bright, and so they are making a pivot to subscriptions, and they're trying to convince people to pay up for X Premium, but that doesn't appear to be going all that well either. So this just reeks of desperation to me. Casey, where do you rate it on the hot mess scale?
Kevin, I have to say this has all the bearings of a classic hot mess. This company has no idea what it is anymore. It is just acting based on Elon's whims, and they're nonsensical and desperate. What do you think?
Well, I think they are creating some business for the free speech pendant necklace market, and I think we should celebrate that. That is business that didn't exist before.
All right, what's the next train coming down the tracks?
All right, pulling into the station, we've got From Friends to Enemies. Casey, this is a story about a feud that has roiled the AI companionship market.
This is so sad.
Yeah, so you know the AI company Friend.
You know, I didn't know about it before this story, although the founder had pitched me about writing about it, and I thought, I don't know. And now I kind of wish I had.
Yeah, so there's this guy named Avi Schiffman. He has an AI startup called Friend. They just announced a wearable pendant. Basically, it's like an AI that sits on a necklace, speaking of necklaces, and sort of listens to your conversations and then will text you affirmations or tips or whatever throughout your day.
Hey, you look great today.
Yeah, exactly. So this got a lot of attention over the past couple of weeks, in part because of the $2.5 million that this company Friend had raised. It spent nearly 1.9 million of those dollars on the domain name friend.com.
Is that high?
That's high.
Okay.
That's a lot. And they produced this teaser for this Friend pendant that got a lot of attention. People said it was dystopian or weird or whatever. Some people thought it was cool.
We made it. Woo! I don't know how to woo very good. That's fair.
Anyway, there's now another Friend. Because
a second friend has entered the chat.
A second friend has entered the chat. This one is run by a guy named Nick Shevchenko. It is also an AI pendant company. This is something called the Friend Necklace that supposedly comes out later this year. It's all open source. And after Avi Schiffman released Friend number 1, Nick of Friend number 2 responded by saying that he is the real friend and accused Avi of, quote, riding my wave. And Casey, he made a diss track.
Oh my goodness. Can we possibly listen to the diss track right now?
Let's listen to the diss track.
Yo, I'm Nick, and for those who don't know, I built Friend. Renamed your tab, jacked my style, built nothing real, it's been a while. Investor cash, you burn it quick, I'm grinding hard, tracks in my peak. Top big game, where is the proof? All your grass no roof. I'm the founder, hardware in hand, user Shishiero can't understand. I be your jokes, spend a meal on a name, can't ship a thing, just Twitter fame. Friend and yours, riding my wave, open source fam, digging your grave. Take a seat, I've learned the grind, you're wasting cash, I'm building in time. Respect the game, respect the source, I'm the real friend, the AI force.
You know, Linda Yaccarino could learn a lot from this guy.
Bars.
Yeah, if you want to make the case that you've been wronged, maybe try to make it rhyme. Look, do I understand one word of what that man just said? No. Do I instinctively support him in this and all of his future endeavors? Yes. Nick, I'm sorry for whatever happened to you, and I hope you get justice.
I feel like we haven't had a good founder drama in a while.
True.
You know, back in the last wave of tech, you had, the Winklevoss twins accusing, Mark Zuckerberg of stealing their ideas. There was this like a Snapchat founder drama. People are always accusing each other of stealing each other's ideas. We haven't had one of those in a while. And so for me, this feels like nature returning.
Well, what about the 9 founders who have quit OpenAI? Does that count?
Well, they're not arguing about who actually started it.
That's true. Everyone agrees that it was Elon Musk's idea.
Yeah.
Partially his idea. So what kind of mess do we think this is?
I think this is not a mess. I think this is nature healing. I think that founders arguing about who stole the other founder's idea is just a natural part of the Silicon Valley ecosystem. And frankly, I, for one, am glad to see it returning.
I agree. I look at this and I just think this is beautiful to me. So congratulations to the friends. They brought us together on that point.
All right.
Oh, Kevin, another train coming down the tracks. And this one says, MrBeast Carnival of Doom.
This was one of my favorite stories of the last couple weeks.
And we will be sharing some details here from Willing to Die for Mr. Beast and $5 million, a story in the Times from Madison Malone Kircher. The contestants in the Internet Stars Beast Games expected outlandish challenges and signed contracts that acknowledge risks of serious injury and death. Still, few were prepared for the conditions on set. Kevin, do you want to tell us a little bit about what happened over at the Mr. Beast Carnival?
So MrBeast, the sort of famous YouTuber who does these like viral stunts and, you know, gets billions and billions of views and is just sort of like the Willy Wonka of YouTube.
Famous philanthropist.
Yes.
Yeah.
He struck a deal to develop a new reality show called Beast Games with Amazon MGM Studios, in which 1,000 contestants would compete for a $5 million prize.
Sounds great.
And this story is basically about how the Beast Games kind of became a nightmare. Among the things that happened to contestants in these games, when they showed up to this football stadium in Nevada where they were supposed to compete in these games, not only were there twice as many contestants as they expected, there were 2,000 contestants, not 1,000 contestants. But they had to turn over their phones and personal belongings, including medications. Things got very Fire Festival. Like they were given these meals that were described by several contestants as including a tiny portion of cold oatmeal, one hard-boiled egg, and a few pieces of raw vegetables. Apparently, several contestants said they were served food they were allergic to and that no alternatives were provided. They also were having trouble getting medication. One contestant had trouble getting insulin who needed it.
Do you really need insulin?
I think you do.
Oh, okay.
I think that's one of those ones that you do. One contestant said that after repeatedly asking for food that was required to take some medication, she was eventually given half a banana.
What'd they do with the other half?
I don't know.
Interesting.
We'll see. There were also injuries among the contestants. One contestant said...
wait, tell about the underwear.
Oh, yeah. So this thing appears to have spiraled out of control. According to this story, contestants in the Beast Games were given a bag to put 5 days worth of underwear in, and basically handing that bag to the production staff, who would sort of like dole it out to them as needed. But that several contestants said they had waited hours or even days to receive their clean underwear. One woman said that when she and a group of other contestants who were menstruating during the event had asked this production staff about getting their underwear more quickly, she was told that it was, quote, not a medical emergency, and she recalled that a nearby member of the production staff had laughed at the woman's pleading. There were also reports of various injuries among contestants.
Wait, pause. Let me say something. Release the damn undies.
Release the undies. Yes. Other contestants reported being injured by these competitions and not being treated well during the competition. One contestant described watching other contestants vomiting and appearing to pass out. There were apparently several hospitalizations. This appears to have just been a real mess all around.
Yeah.
And my favorite part of this is that when asked about all of these accusations, a spokesperson for MrBeast had said that the Beast Games shoot was, quote, unfortunately complicated by the CrowdStrike incident, extreme weather, and other unexpected logistical and communications issues. The spokesperson also said that MrBeast had started a formal review and had taken steps to ensure that we learned from this experience.
Kevin, did you find that the CrowdStrike incident affected your supply of underwear?
Only slightly, although I do keep many backups, so I was able to weather the storm. What about you?
I mean, look, you know, on one hand, I understand that lots of people are rooting against MrBeast because he is, you know, the most famous YouTuber, and he's like sort of corny, and like, yes, he does all this philanthropy, but I think people are sort of always like suspicious of his motives and want to tear him down. And even given all that, though, this is just a very funny story.
It's very funny.
And, like, I assume that going on any reality show is actually kind of a nightmare. You know, like, they really do take away your phone and everything. I'm sure these are not
that's the part that sounds the worst to you?
I mean, to me, what sounds the worst to you?
Not the vomiting and the hospitalizations?
That's fine. My friends are always doing that around me. But, I think the sort of sheer accumulation of incidents here makes you wonder, like, how low was the budget on They're giving away $5 million. Like, presumably they had a lot of money to spend. But, maybe MrBeast kind of saved it all for the prize and hoped that everyone else would get by on half a banana.
Yeah, I think that Amazon has a real opportunity here because they can not only release the Beast Games show as they intended, but they can also release the documentary about the disasters behind the scenes at the Beast Games, which would be an even bigger hit.
I was going to say, I'm going to guess that one gets way more views than the Beast Games itself.
How would you rate this on the hot mess thermometer?
This feels like a hot mess. Like, I don't think it's going to truly boil over, and if anything, I think it's just built anticipation to watch the show. But it does seem very messy, and I'm sure there'll be lawsuits and so on. What do you think?
Yeah, I think so. But it's MrBeast I think is too big to fail. I think he's going to be fine. But I do think I am very excited to watch this show now.
You know what I would say if I were running this if I were running this program and someone was like complaining to me that they were hungry all the time.
What would you say?
I'd say, hey, the name's MrBeast, not Mr. Feast. And then maybe they would laugh and calm down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have a hard-boiled egg. All right. That is the Hot Mess Express.
We hope you enjoyed that segment. And if you have other ideas for segments that would also work well on a children's show, please email hardfork@nytimes.com.
Yeah, maybe a puppet show next time? What do we think?
What about one of those bubble shows, where it's like you sort of, you pull the big bubble out of the wading pool that's filled with like dishwater soap?
Yes.
Yeah, that's a good time.
We should have done that for our AI bubble segment.
Yes.
We should have made some AI bubbles and popped them.
We should have blown AI bubbles.
We are morphing into a children's show. Anyway, if Nickelodeon has any openings on its programming lineup for the fall, we are available.
Hey, that's the end of this clip. If you liked what you saw, head on over to our page and subscribe, and you can get the full podcast. We do a show like this almost every week on tech and the future. Head on over there now and subscribe.